Three black SUVs rolled to a stop outside a small, cracked paint building on the far edge of Lagos. Dust lifted. Neighbors froze. Mothers pulled children close. A gate man who never smiled forgot to close his mouth. Doors opened at the same time, like a movie. Men in clean suits stepped down first. Then a tall man with gentle eyes came out last. He looked at the single wooden door with a rusty lock and said, quietly, "Room 7. Inside room 7, a woman held her daughter's hot hand and prayed, "God, please, don't let this be a dream." Minutes before the cars arrived, Olivia had called the wrong number. It had been a heavy afternoon, the kind that made the air thick and slow. Power was out again, and the little fan in the corner stood still like a tired soldier. Olivia sat on a thin mattress on the floor of their one-room home, a cooking pot in the corner, a Bible on the window ledge, and a small photo of a smiling man, Sam, her late husband, taped to the wall. Her daughter, Nadia, lay with her head on Olivia's lap. Sweat sat on her forehead like tiny beads. Her eyes were half closed. Her lips were dry. "Mummy, I'm fine," Nadia whispered. Even though she wasn't. "You're not fine," Olivia said, brushing her hair back. "You're burning." She had tried everything. Cool cloths, paracetamol, prayers. But fear kept growing in her chest like a tight rope. It had been months of scraping by since Sam died in that road accident. He had always told her, "You are stronger than you think." But today, she didn't feel strong. She felt alone. Her mind ran to the market the day before. She had bumped into Jerry, an old schoolmate who still remembered her smile from years ago. He had said, "If you ever need anything, call me." He wrote his number on a small piece of paper and pressed it into her palm. Now, with her hands shaking, Olivia picked up her small phone. The paper was damp with her tears. One number blurred. She guessed it. She dialed. "Hello?" A man answered. Her words poured out before she could breathe. "Hello, this is Olivia. Please help me. I know we just met yesterday after a long time, but I don't have anyone else to call. My daughter is sick. She's all I have. Please help me. I don't want to lose her. I just want her treated in a hospital. We don't even have money to eat. Please save her." Silence held on the line for one heartbeat. Then the man spoke, and his voice sounded wet, like he was crying too. "Olivia," he said softly, "you were trying to call Jerry. But this is Benjamin. You called Benjamin Anderson, the CEO of Ben Companies." Olivia's mouth fell open. The name lived in the city like a giant, on billboards, in newspapers, on people's lips when they talked about power and money. She pulled the phone back to check the screen like it could explain what she had done. "I believe there is a reason you reached me," the man went on. "I was a father. I lost my wife and my daughter 2 years ago in a plane crash. I know how pain feels when you cannot fix it. You don't have to know me to receive help. Please send me your address right now. We are coming to get your daughter." Olivia closed her eyes. She wanted to argue. She wanted to say, "Sir, this is a mistake." She wanted to say, "I don't deserve this." But Nadia's hand grew hotter inside her own. So she whispered the address and ended the call with a shaking thank you. Nadia had heard enough to understand. She lifted her head a little and tried to smile. "Mummy, don't worry," she said. "It won't be a dream." Outside, a Danfo bus groaned past. A hawker shouted, "Pure water," like a bell. Olivia wiped her daughter's face and whispered, "Hold on, my sunshine. Help is coming." Help came fast than she imagined. When the SUVs stopped, the whole compound moved like a wave. Faces peeped from doors. Someone dropped a bucket. The tall man in the last car walked through the narrow passage with a calm that made people step aside without being told. He knocked on room 7 and opened it slowly. "Olivia?" he asked. She was already on her feet. For a second, she forgot how to talk. He didn't look like the hard, cold man she expected from the papers. He looked kind. Tired, but kind, like someone who had been through a long night and now loved mornings. "I'm Benjamin," he said, with a small nod. "May I come in?" He stepped in with only one person, his assistant, Ada, who carried a neat bag. Benjamin knelt beside Nadia, not minding the dusty floor. "Hello, beautiful," he said. "What's your name?" "Nadia," she whispered. "What a beautiful name for a beautiful young lady." His smile was soft and broke something tight in the room. "Nadia, we're going to the hospital. Will you let me carry you?" I can still walk, sir, she said, a tiny grin flickering for the first time that day. Thank you. Then I'll walk with you. He offered his arm like a careful guard. Olivia grabbed a small wrapper, a bottle of water, and their simple prayer book. As they stepped out, the compound became a movie set. Children stared. One neighbor crossed herself. Another whispered, "Is she related to him?" Olivia felt a sting of shame and a wave of pride at the same time. She kept her eyes on Nadia's feet. Inside the SUV, the air was cool. The seats were soft. Olivia tried not to sink into them like a dreamer. Benjamin sat in front, half turned toward them. "Everything will be okay," he said. "We are going to the private wing at Bethany Medical. The doctor is already waiting." "Why are you doing this?" Olivia asked, the words coming out like a secret. He looked at her for a quiet moment. "Because when my world broke, I learned what matters. Money is only good when it becomes kindness. And you called me today. I won't ignore that." Olivia pressed her lips together so her thanks would not break into a sob. She looked at Nadia, who was staring at the passing streets. Busy shops, stacks of tomatoes, a man fixing shoes on a low stool as if the world had never been so beautiful. Sirens did not scream, but doors flew open when they arrived. A doctor in a white coat met them at the entrance with two nurses. "Mr. Anderson?" He nodded quickly, then looked at Nadia. "Let's get you inside." Tests moved fast. Temperature, blood work, fluids. Olivia signed a form with a hand that would not stay still. Benjamin stood close but not too close, like a guard who knew how to give space. Hours slid by in quiet steps. The sun dipped. The city lights blinked on like eyes. Nadia slept under a clean sheet. Her breathing grew steady. The beeping machine by her bed ticked like a calm clock. Olivia sat by the bed and told the room about Sam in a voice just above a whisper. "He was the best man," she said to nobody and everybody. He laughed with his whole chest. "He said I would make a great accountant one day, even when I said I was only a housewife. He would have loved to see you, Nadia, this tall and brave young lady." Benjamin listened from the doorway. He did not interrupt. His eyes were glassy again. When he finally spoke, it was to offer food. "Can I bring jollof and water?" "I don't feel hungry," Olivia said, but her stomach argued loud enough to make them both smile. "Thank you." Night fell. The room hummed with soft machines and small prayers. Olivia reached for her daughter's hand and looked at Benjamin. "I don't know how to repay you," she said. "You don't have to," he answered. "Just let me help." A nurse came in and took Nadia's temperature. "It's coming down," she said with a bright nod. "She's responding well." For the first time all day, Olivia let her shoulders drop. She leaned back in the chair and closed her eyes for one tiny second. That was when the monitor jumped. Beep, beep, beep. The calm green line began to run wild. Nadia's body tensed. Her chest rose and didn't fall fast enough. Her eyes fluttered. "What's happening?" Olivia shot forward, the chair scraping the floor. "Nadia? Baby?" The nurse's smile fell away. "Doctor," she called, pressing the red button on the wall. The door swung open. Another nurse rushed in with a tray. The doctor followed, pulling on gloves. "Mom, please step back," he said firmly, already checking Nadia's airway. Her fever spiked. "We need to stabilize her now." Olivia froze. Her mouth moved, but no sound came out. The world shrank to the beeping and her child's face. Benjamin's hand found hers. "Breathe," he said, steady and low. "Olivia, look at me. Breathe." Inside the room, the doctor barked orders. "Epinephrine ready. Oxygen up. Count 1, 2. A nurse pulled the curtain halfway, blocking Olivia's view. The line on the monitor flashed like a frightened bird. "Please," Olivia whispered to the gap in the curtain. To the man she lost. To the God she believed. To anyone who could hear. "Please save my child." The door clicked shut as another nurse slipped in with a fresh bag of fluids. Benjamin took one step toward the door, as if he could hold it open with his will alone. His jaw tightened. In his eyes, the ghosts of a wife and daughter flickered. And then he focused on the present, on the girl behind the curtain, on the mother shaking beside him. The beeping rose. The doctor's voice sharpened. Then the monitor screamed. "Code!" a nurse shouted. The hallway went silent. Benjamin squeezed Olivia's hand, once, hard, then reached for the door handle. The sound was sharp. Piercing. It sliced through Olivia's heart like a blade. Code blue! The nurse shouted again, rushing to Nadia's bedside. The monitor's alarm screamed in rhythm with Olivia's racing pulse. Nurses moved quickly, their white shoes squeaking against the polished hospital floor. The doctor pressed down on Nadia's chest, his hands moving in fast, firm beats. Olivia staggered forward, but Benjamin's hand caught her arm. "Wait," he whispered. "Let them do their work." Tears blurred her eyes. She could only see the blur of gloves, masks, syringes, and tubes as they fought for her child's life. "No, no, no," she muttered, her knees almost giving way. "Don't take my child. Please, Lord, not her too." Benjamin didn't let go. His hand was steady, strong, reminding her that she wasn't alone in this battle. For the first time in 2 years since his own family's plane crash, he felt the terror of losing someone he loved before he even admitted how much they mattered. Inside the curtain, the doctor's voice was firm. 1, 2, 3, clear. A shock passed through Nadia's body. Her frame jerked upward before collapsing back on the bed. Olivia gasped, covering her mouth. The beeping monitor hesitated, then gave a weak, unsteady sound. "She's responding," one nurse said quickly. The doctor checked her pulse. "Good. Keep oxygen steady. Increase fluids. Prepare antibiotics. She's fighting." Olivia's tears spilled freely. Her body trembled so hard she thought she might collapse. But the faint sound of the monitor, slowly returning to its normal rhythm, was like water to a dry throat. "She's going to be okay," the doctor finally said, pulling down his mask with relief. "Her fever caused a sudden spike that triggered a seizure. But we've stabilized her. She'll need monitoring, but she's safe for now." Safe. The word wrapped around Olivia like a blanket. She pressed both hands against her face and sobbed loud, messy, uncontrollable sobs of relief. Benjamin's hand rested gently on her shoulder. His voice was low, almost breaking. "She made it, Olivia. She made it." Olivia turned to him, her face streaked with tears. "I thought I lost her," she whispered. "I thought." Her voice cracked. "I can't lose her, sir. She's all I have." Benjamin looked at her, and in that moment, he wasn't the billionaire CEO the whole of Lagos whispered about. He was just a man who knew loss too well. His eyes glistened, his voice unsteady. "You won't lose her. Not while I can do something about it." Hours passed, slow and heavy. By dawn, Nadia was sleeping peacefully, her chest rising and falling in gentle waves. The sun painted the hospital curtains gold, softening the tension that had ruled the night. Olivia sat by her daughter's side, brushing strands of hair from her forehead. She had not slept. She didn't dare. Every small sound from the monitor made her heart race. Benjamin entered quietly with 2 cups of tea. He set one on the table beside her and held the other in his hand. His suit jacket was gone. His white shirt sleeves were rolled up. He looked less like a man of power and more like a father who hadn't slept all night. "You should drink," he said gently. Olivia looked up, her eyes swollen from crying. "Why are you doing this for us?" she asked, her voice trembling. "You don't even know me." Benjamin sat across from her, his eyes never leaving hers. "Because I know what it feels like to beg heaven for someone's life and get silence in return. I won't let you face that silence alone." Her lips parted, but no words came. She had expected pity, maybe charity, not this kind of raw honesty. After a long pause, Olivia whispered, "Thank you." Later that morning, Nadia stirred. Her eyelids fluttered, and a weak smile stretched across her lips. "Mummy." Olivia leaned forward quickly, holding her daughter's hand. "I'm here, my sunshine. You scared me." Nadia's eyes shifted and caught Benjamin standing by the window. "And you didn't let me go." Benjamin smiled. "I told you, beautiful young lady, the world still needs you." For the first time since Sam's death, Olivia's heart felt something new hope. But alongside it came something even more dangerous. The feeling that this man was not just passing through her life. He was stepping into it. And that terrified her almost as much as it comforted her. Because she knew nothing in this world came without a cost. That evening, as the city buzzed outside with horns and shouting Danfo drivers, Benjamin returned to the hospital room. He looked at Olivia and Nadia with a decision already heavy in his eyes. "Olivia," he said firmly, "you and your daughter are not going back to that one-room house. Not after this. Not when there are empty rooms in my mansion." The words landed like thunder. Olivia's heart raced. She stared at him, unable to breathe. Moving into a billionaire's mansion, with strangers watching, with the world ready to talk? Her lips trembled. Sir, why me? Why us? Benjamin leaned closer, his voice steady. Because I know God made sure you dialed my number, and I will not waste that chance. Olivia sat frozen, Nadia asleep beside her, the beeping machine filling the silence. Her chest rose and fell with fear and wonder. She didn't know it yet, but this decision was about to change everything forever. And outside the hospital window, the Lagos night held its breath. The gates opened with a low hum, wide enough for 3 cars to drive through side by side. Olivia had never seen anything like it. Tall iron doors, polished like mirrors, glided apart to reveal a driveway paved with marble stones that shimmered under the evening lights. Her breath caught. She clutched Nadia's hand tighter, her other hand trembling as she held the small bag of belongings she had packed from their one-room house. "This is where you live?" Nadia whispered, her wide eyes drinking in the sight of tall palm trees lined like soldiers, fountains spraying water into the air, and walls painted so white they glowed. Benjamin, seated across from them in the SUV, gave a small nod. "This is home," he said quietly. But Olivia's chest tightened. This wasn't home. Not for her. Not for a woman who had spent the last year counting coins before visiting the market or patching old wrappers into curtains. She felt like she was stepping into someone else's dream, and sooner or later she might wake up. The convoy stopped at the main entrance. The door opened, and aides in neat uniforms bowed slightly as Benjamin stepped out. They moved with respect, but without surprise, as though they had long been trained never to show shock. Still, Olivia noticed the quick glances they gave her and Nadia. Curious, measuring, whispering in silence. "This way," Benjamin said, offering his hand as Nadia carefully stepped out. Olivia followed, her legs stiff, her throat dry. She told herself over and over, "This is temporary. He will help. Then life will go back to normal." But as they crossed the threshold of the mansion, she realized there was no normal left to return to. The living room alone could have swallowed her entire compound back in the outskirts of Lagos. High ceilings arched above them, a chandelier dripping with crystals catching every beam of light. The floor gleamed like a river of glass. Nadia gasped, her voice carrying pure wonder. "Mummy, look!" She pointed at a painting taller than both of them. A woman in royal blue with a kind smile, her arm wrapped around a teenage girl. Olivia froze. She didn't need to ask who they were. Benjamin's voice softened behind her. "My wife, my daughter." The air grew heavy. Olivia's fingers curled around Nadia's shoulder as though shielding her from invisible sorrow. Benjamin stepped closer, his eyes locked on the painting. They loved this house, they made it alive. His jaw tightened. "When I lost them, the walls became silent, too silent." Olivia swallowed, unsure if she should speak. Instead, Nadia whispered softly, "They look beautiful." Benjamin's lips curved faintly. They were. Dinner that night was like nothing Olivia had ever seen. Long tables covered with food soups, grilled meat, rice in silver bowls. Aides served with practiced precision, placing plates gently before them. But Olivia's stomach twisted. She couldn't touch the food. Her mind was still with the faces of her neighbors when she left, the whispers that would soon ripple across the community. Benjamin noticed her untouched plate. "You don't like it?" I'm not used to this," she admitted, embarrassed. "Back home, one pot of beans lasted us 2 days." Silence followed. Then Benjamin pushed his own plate toward her, with a faint smile. "Then, tonight, eat with me. No rich man, no poor woman. Just 2 parents glad their child is safe." Olivia's lips trembled. Slowly, she took a spoonful. The taste was rich, foreign, overwhelming. Tears filled her eyes without warning. Nadia leaned close, whispering, "Mummy, don't cry. We're safe now." Olivia nodded, wiping her eyes quickly. But deep inside, she knew safety often came with hidden storms. Later, when Nadia was shown to a guest room bigger than their entire old house, Olivia was invited to Benjamin's study. The room smelled of leather and wood. Books lined the shelves like soldiers of wisdom. On the desk stood framed photos, his wife and daughter again, smiling, frozen in time. Benjamin poured water into 2 glasses. "Sit," he said gently. Olivia obeyed, her hands folded tightly on her lap. He studied her for a long moment before speaking. Tell me about you, Olivia. Not just the pain. The woman before all this. Her voice was low, almost ashamed. I had a degree in accountancy. I was bright, hopeful, but I married young. My husband wanted me home, so I never worked. I thought love was enough. Her throat tightened. And then he died. Everything fell apart. I couldn't even give my daughter the life she deserved. Benjamin leaned forward, his eyes steady. Don't say that. You gave her love. That is worth more than any mansion. It wants to give nuns. Olivia's chest squeezed painfully. No one had ever said that to her before. After a pause, Benjamin asked, Are you ready to work now? Her eyes lifted. Yes, more than ever. Benjamin's lips curved slightly. Then you will. Tomorrow, I'll take you to my company. You belong in the place you studied for, Olivia. You just needed someone to open the door. The words sank deep. She wanted to believe them, but fear whispered, What if he changes his mind? What if this kindness fades like a dream? Benjamin rose and walked to the painting of his late wife and daughter. His voice dropped to a whisper, though she heard every word. Maybe God sent you here to fill the silence they left behind. Olivia's breath caught. Her heart thudded in her chest. She rose quickly, bowing her head. Thank you, sir. Good night. As she stepped out of the study, her mind raced. Gratitude burned in her chest, but so did unease. Because for the first time, she wasn't sure if this was still help, or the beginning of something she wasn't ready to face. And down the hall, where the chandelier lights flickered, Olivia couldn't shake the feeling that this mansion carried not only wealth and kindness, but also secrets waiting to be uncovered. The glass doors of Ben Company's headquarters slid open with a soft hiss, revealing a world Olivia had only seen in newspapers. The marble floors gleamed, the ceilings stretched high, and people in crisp suits moved quickly, their shoes clicking like a rhythm of power. Olivia clutched her simple handbag tightly, her heart pounding. She had worn one of the new dresses Benjamin had bought for her, a navy blue gown that hugged her figure modestly. But she still felt like an imposter, like everyone could see she didn't belong here. Relax, Benjamin said beside her, his voice calm but firm. You're not a visitor here, Olivia. You're part of this. She forced a smile and nodded, but her palms were sweaty. As they entered the executive floor, whispers began. Employees paused mid-step, their eyes darting toward her. Some pretended to straighten files. Others leaned close to colleagues, lips moving quickly. Olivia felt every stare like a weight pressing on her back. Who's she? A young woman murmured, not quietly enough. Maybe the new personal assistant, another replied. No, look, mister. Anderson brought her himself. That's different. Olivia lowered her eyes, wishing she could disappear. Benjamin ignored the whispers, leading her straight to the accounts department. Inside, rows of desks were stacked with computers and files. The head of accounts, a sharp-faced man named Mr. Daniel, rose quickly. Good morning, sir, he greeted with a respectful bow. His eyes flicked to Olivia, curiosity sparking. This is Mrs. Olivia, Benjamin said, his voice steady. She's joining the accounts team. Treat her well. She's qualified, and I expect her to be given every opportunity to succeed. Daniel forced a polite smile. Of course, sir. But Olivia saw it. The flash of doubt. The hidden question. Why her? Benjamin left soon after, leaving Olivia standing alone with Daniel. The room seemed colder without him. Daniel assigned her a desk and handed her a pile of files. Start with these reconciliations. Let's see how good you are. His tone was smooth, but underneath, Olivia sensed the test. She nodded silently, sat down, and opened the first file. Numbers spilled across the page, debits, credits, missing entries. Her mind sharpened. For years, she had been away from work, but this was her territory. Slowly, the fear faded, replaced by focus. Hours passed. By lunch, she had corrected 2 files and discovered an error no one had noticed. Daniel raised his brows, surprised. Not bad, he muttered. But instead of praise, he added, beginner's luck. Let's see if you can keep up. Olivia smiled faintly. I will. But the whispers didn't stop. At the cafeteria, she carried her tray carefully. But as she passed a group of young staff, their voices floated behind her. She's pretty. Maybe that's why he hired her. Imagine. Straight from the slums to the CEO's mansion. Do you think she'll last here? Olivia's hand trembled, nearly spilling her water. She sat at a corner table, her appetite gone. Is this what it will be like? She thought. Every step judged, every kindness questioned. That evening, Benjamin called her into his office. The walls were glass, giving a wide view of Lagos traffic, below cars inching like ants. You did well today, he said, leaning against his desk. Daniel already reported that you spotted errors others missed. Olivia shifted uneasily. Thank you, sir. But people are talking. Benjamin's eyes darkened. What are they saying? That I don't belong, that I'm only here because of you. Her voice broke slightly. Maybe they're right. He stepped closer, his voice low but intense. Listen to me. You are here because you earned it. Don't let whispers decide your worth. Do you understand? Her eyes lifted to meet his. For a moment, the room felt smaller, charged. She nodded, her chest tight. Yes, sir. Back at the mansion that night, Nadia was waiting in the garden. She looked stronger, her fever gone, her smile bright. She had books open on her lap, preparations for her entrance exams. How was work, Mummy? She asked eagerly. Olivia forced a smile. Challenging, but good. Benjamin joined them later, carrying 3 cups of juice. He sat with them under the soft garden lights, listening to Nadia chatter about her studies. But Olivia noticed something. The way Benjamin's eyes lingered on her when she wasn't looking. The way his laughter grew softer when she smiled. And deep inside, though she tried to ignore it, her own heart skipped in ways she hadn't felt since Sam died. Yet, as the days turned into weeks, the whispers at the company grew louder. A rumor began. Someone claimed Olivia had been living in Benjamin's mansion for weeks. The gossip spread like wildfire, twisting kindness into scandal. One morning, as she entered the office, Olivia overheard a voice say coldly, "She's not just an employee, she's his new woman." Her steps froze. Her blood ran cold. The door to the accounts office loomed before her, but her world had already shifted. Because Olivia now knew this opportunity, this fragile hope of a new life, was about to be tested in ways she never imagined. And somewhere inside the glass tower of Ben Companies, someone was determined to see her fall. The boardroom was silent, yet the air felt heavy with tension. Olivia stood at the far end of the long polished table, her hands trembling as whispers spread among the senior executives. Their eyes, sharp and cold, pierced through her. The rumor had grown too loud to ignore. It had started in the cafeteria, then spilled into the elevators, then to the boardroom. Now it was no longer whispers. It was an accusation. "She's here because of you," one director said bluntly, turning his gaze toward Benjamin. "We've all heard it. The entire company is talking. This woman lives in your house. How can you expect us to believe she earned her place here?" Gasps filled the room. Olivia's face burned. She wanted the floor to open and swallow her whole. Benjamin's eyes scanned the room. Calm, but dangerous. "Is that what you all believe?" he asked. Nobody answered, but the silence was loud enough. Olivia found her voice, though it cracked. "I never asked for favors. I only wanted a chance to prove myself." She swallowed hard. "If my presence here is a problem, I'll leave." Her chest tightened as the words left her lips. She had fought so hard, and now it felt like it was slipping away. Benjamin's voice cut through the room like steel. "No, she won't leave." Everyone turned. He stood, tall and commanding, his palms resting on the table. "Yes, Olivia lives in my house, but let me remind you all of something. She didn't come to me asking for riches or work. She came to me begging for help to save her sick daughter. And it was a mistake that brought her call to my phone. A mistake I now believe was God's design. If you was no." He paused, his voice softer now. "Olivia is qualified. Her work has already proven it. If any of you think she's here because of personal favor, then bring me one error she has made. Just one." Silence. Papers shuffled, but no one spoke. Benjamin leaned closer. "If this company is built on gossip instead of merit, then we have failed. But as long as I'm CEO, Olivia stays." His words left no room for debate. The room fell quiet, the tension broken only by the sound of chairs creaking as people shifted uncomfortably. Later that night, back at the mansion, Olivia sat in the garden, her hands wrapped around a warm cup of tea. Her heart was still racing from the confrontation. She could hear Nadia laughing in the distance with her tutor. That sound was her anchor, her reason for everything. Benjamin stepped into the garden quietly. "You did well today," he said, his voice calm. Olivia shook her head. "I nearly broke, Benjamin. If you hadn't spoken." "But you didn't break," he interrupted gently. "You stood there with dignity. That's strength." She looked at him, her eyes filled with gratitude, and something else she didn't want to name. "Why are you doing all this for me?" she whispered. For a long moment, he said nothing. Then he lowered himself onto one knee before her. Her breath caught. He reached into his pocket and brought out a small velvet box. Inside, a diamond ring shimmered under the garden lights. "Olivia." His voice trembled, but his gaze was steady. "You brought light back into this house. You gave me something money could never buy. Family again. I don't want to lose that. Please, marry me." Olivia's lips parted, but no words came. Tears welled in her eyes, spilling down her cheeks. She thought of Sam, of the life she had lost, of the pain she carried. Then she thought of Nadia safe, smiling, with a future. And she thought of Benjamin, a man who carried his own scars, offering her not pity, but partnership. Slowly, she stretched out her hand. Yes, Benjamin slipped the ring onto her finger. At that moment, Nadia came running into the garden. She stopped short, her eyes widening as she saw the scene before her. "Mummy, are you really?" Olivia smiled through her tears. "Yes, my sunshine. We're a family now." Nadia's scream of joy filled the night. She ran to hug them both, her laughter mixing with tears. Benjamin wrapped his arms around mother and daughter, holding them as if they were his lost treasure returned. The boardroom confrontation had been a turning point, but it was only the beginning. Life for Olivia and Nadia began to unfold in ways they had never imagined. The wedding followed weeks later, grand, colorful, and filled with the presence of business moguls, government leaders, and family friends. But beneath all the glamour, what mattered most was the sight of Nadia, her face glowing as she watched her mother walk down the aisle in a white gown, finally finding love and peace again. That night, Nadia whispered to her mother, "Mummy, this is what you deserve. A second chance." Olivia smiled through tears, holding her daughter's hands. "And this is only the beginning, my sunshine." Soon after the wedding, Nadia sat for her university entrance examinations. Benjamin spared no expense: tutors, study aids, everything she needed to succeed. She poured herself into her books, her determination fierce. When the results were released, Nadia was accepted into one of Nigeria's top universities to study medicine and surgery. The news sent Olivia into tears of joy, while Benjamin threw a small celebration in the mansion. From the very first semester, Nadia stood out. She wasn't just brilliant. She was disciplined, humble, and driven by a passion to heal. Professors spoke highly of her, classmates admired her, and her name often appeared at the top of every result list. Olivia visited her often at school, carrying food, prayers, and love. Benjamin never missed an opportunity to tell her, "The world will know your name, Nadia. You're destined for greatness." Years passed quickly. Olivia balanced her role at Ben Companies with motherhood after the birth of baby Obinna, her son with Benjamin. Life felt like a dream she didn't want to wake from. Then came the day of Nadia's graduation. The university auditorium was packed, filled with parents, students, and dignitaries. The air buzzed with excitement. When Nadia's name was called as the best graduating student, the hall erupted with applause. She walked across the stage in her flowing gown, her cap sitting proudly on her head. She held her certificate high, her smile wide and shining. Olivia, seated with Benjamin and baby Obinna in her arms, couldn't stop crying. "That's my daughter," she whispered, clutching Benjamin's hand. Benjamin wiped a tear from his own eyes. "Sam would be proud," he said softly, and Olivia nodded, her heart swelling. The vice-chancellor shook Nadia's hand and presented her with a golden plaque. "For academic excellence, dedication, and brilliance," he announced. Cameras flashed, and Nadia bowed with grace. When she returned to her family's seat, Olivia rose and hugged her tightly, sobbing into her shoulder. Benjamin held them both, his voice firm but emotional. This is only the beginning. Nadia's brilliance didn't stop at graduation. She secured employment at one of the best private hospitals in Lagos. Her colleagues admired her for her intelligence and compassion, and soon she was invited to the annual medical conference. It was there that she met Joshua, a young, respected gynecologist. He was calm, intelligent, and deeply fascinated by Nadia's passion for medicine. They began talking, then working together, and within months, their bond grew into love. When Joshua visited Benjamin's mansion to formally declare his intentions, Olivia watched him carefully, her motherly instincts sharp. But when she saw the gentleness in his eyes as he spoke about Nadia, she smiled. "Take care of her," Benjamin said firmly, placing a hand on Joshua's shoulder. "She's not just my daughter, she's my miracle." Their wedding came months later, a celebration filled with joy and dancing. Nadia looked radiant in her white gown, while Joshua stood tall in his suit. Olivia and Benjamin watched with pride, their hearts swelling with happiness. But married life tested Nadia in ways she hadn't expected. For years, she and Joshua tried to conceive, but were met with silence. As doctors themselves, they understood the medical side, yet no reason could be found. The pressure grew. Nadia often cried in Joshua's arms, whispering, "What if I can never be a mother?" Joshua held her close, always patient, always hopeful. At the mansion, Olivia and Benjamin reassured her constantly. "It will happen," Olivia said softly. "Don't lose faith." 5 years later, faith was rewarded. One morning, Nadia ran into Joshua's study, tears streaming down her cheeks. "I'm pregnant," she whispered. He froze, then lifted her into his arms, spinning her around in pure joy. Their prayers had been answered. 9 months later, Nadia gave birth to twins, a boy and a girl. They named them Jacob and Jessica. The day Olivia held the babies in her arms, her tears flowed freely. Benjamin stood beside her, his own face wet with emotion. Baby Obinna, now older, peeked curiously at his nephew and niece. "This," Olivia whispered, her voice shaking. "This is the full circle. From that wrong number to this blessing. God, thank you." Nadia lay on the hospital bed, exhausted but glowing with joy. She looked at her mother and said, "Mummy, you always told me not to give up. Now I know why." Benjamin placed his arm around Olivia, pulling her close. "You see, Olivia? That mistake call wasn't a mistake at all. It was destiny." As the family gathered, Olivia, Benjamin, Nadia, Joshua, baby Obinna, and the newborn twins, the room filled with laughter, tears, and the kind of love that only grows from pain, transformed into joy. For Olivia, it was more than survival. It was a story of grace. From a struggling widow in a one-room apartment to the matriarch of a family bound by resilience, faith, and love. And as she kissed Jacob and Jessica, she whispered the words she would never forget. It started with the wrong number, but it ended with the right life. What is your view about this story? Where are you watching from? If you enjoyed this story, comment, share, and subscribe to our channel for more interesting stories.